in my automobile, my baby beside me at the wheel. I stole a kiss at the turn of a mile, my curiosity running wild, cruising and playing the radio, with no particular place to go.
And now, live from the studios of WTAN, the Fuel Savers with host Barry Hart. Listen and learn about the latest in fuel-saving technologies, regulations, and trends in the automotive and fuel industry. And now, the man who knows the best how to save you money at the fuel pump, a pioneer in hydrogen-aided combustion systems, Barry Hart.
Welcome once again to the Fuel Savers, a radio show that is causing ripples throughout the news, automotive, and fuel industries. And the reason is, here you'll learn the truth. That's because me, Barry Hart, I am free from financial obligations to any industry. I don't get any information I put out on this show from the Associated Press. I don't mindlessly read you what my producers stick in front of my face. I do research. I report to you the facts as they are. There's always so much information and so little time to present it to you, so let's get on with it. The numbers again, if you want to be on the show today, 727-441-3000 if you live in Pinellas County, Florida, or 1-866-826-1340 if you're anywhere else in the Tampa Bay area or the United States. We're also streaming live on the internet right now, so if you want to see as well as hear the show, go to www.fuelgeniesystems, FUELGENIE systems.com. Click on the black, yellow, and white Fuel Savers icon, and it will take you right here directly to the show. If you're watching right now, hi. Okay, you can also email me if you have any questions at barryh@fuelgeniesystems.com. We're coming to you live from the studios of WTAN 1340 on your AM dial, serving sunny Tampa Bay. And now, let's get on with the show. I'm getting lots of email concerning the same thing. How do we put hydrogen into the gas? Or does this mean you don't need gas anymore? Well, here's the way it is. It seems like this is going to be an ongoing subject from new listeners constantly tuning into the show here. So I'm going to make this a staple of every show and explain to everybody exactly how this works. At Fuel Genie Systems, we've developed a safe and most efficient way to inject hydrogen into a gasoline or diesel engine. We call it a shift system. What? A shift system. SHIFT. It stands for Supplemental Hydrogen Injection Fuel Technology. That's Supplemental Hydrogen Injection Fuel Technology. Now, if that confuses you, let me say it again. Supplemental Hydrogen Injection Fuel Technology. Hydrogen Injection Fuel Technology. Okay? Basically, this is what it is. We take regular gasoline or regular diesel, no matter what it is you're driving in your vehicle. And we have a system which produces hydrogen, because there's never any hydrogen stored on board a car with a Fuel Genie system on it. We just don't do that. We make the hydrogen, and as soon as we make it, we put it into the vehicle. Now, how do we do that? Well, we take water, and we add an electrolyte to the water. This we put into a reservoir. It could be a 2-liter reservoir, 4-liter. We have 8-liter reservoirs. Depends upon how many times you want to fill it up between going full and empty. It all depends upon you. So we take that reservoir. That reservoir then feeds water down into something called a hydrolyzer, or you can call it a hydrogen generator if you want to. It's an electrolysis process. It's been around for the past 200 years. Nothing new there, nothing at all. That's why nobody can patent any of this stuff. It's just sitting out there. It's waiting for somebody to use it in a new and novel way. That's what we do. So we make hydrogen. We then take the hydrogen, and we, in a gasoline engine, we'll take it and we will suck that hydrogen that's being made into where the PCV valve goes into the intake manifold. For those of you not familiar with PCV, that's positive crankcase ventilation. Little valves usually sits somewhere on your valve cover, somewhere inside there, or in some Honda engines and foreign engines and stuff like that. It sits in other places. But in any case, there's a hose that connects the positive crankcase ventilation valve to the intake manifold of your engine. We cut that tube right there where it's at, and we insert a T, and then we take from the reservoir, from the hydrogen that's been generated from the reservoir, all that water inside there, that hydrogen, we take that hydrogen and plug it into that bottom part of the T right there, and now when the engine runs, it sucks hydrogen in as well as fumes from your crankcase, because positive crankcase ventilation means this. As your pistons go up and down inside the engine, they sit on top of the cylinder for a time when the combustion is happening. Now that causes a lot of blow-by gases, because when the combustion happens in a cylinder, those gases expand. They want to go somewhere. And 99.99% of the vehicles that are out here right now at idle, it doesn't really matter whether they're at idle or if they're going any faster in the RPMs market out there, but at idle, sitting out there, and when the flash happens inside that combustion chamber, pow, that's when all the gases just reach a critical mass and they explode. It's called a flash. When that flash happens, that 3 or 4 nanoseconds when that flash is happening, 40 to 50% of the combustion is happening while the piston is sitting directly on top of the crankshaft. Now, when it happens like that, you can explode the gases all you want to. They can push down on the piston all they want to, but the piston won't go anywhere. It can't. It can't turn the crankshaft. It can't do anything. So these gases, they are going to go someplace. And what they do is they find their way around the sides of the piston, and then what they do is they go into the grooves of the piston around where the rings are, and they keep sliding backwards and forwards, going into the groove, around the groove, coming out the bottom of the groove on the piston, until finally they make it all the way down into the crankcase, where these hot, toxic, noxious chemicals all contaminate your oil, heat it up, and put everything that's bad into your oil. Now, there's a positive pressure down inside there. The pistons are making sure that there's a positive pressure down there. So the automobile engineer said, what are we going to do with all this extra gunky smelling gases and stuff? So they drilled ports inside your engine block, and now what happens is the fumes and everything go up through these little holes. They're called the exhaust gas returns, if you want to. They go up through the ports of the engine into the valve covers. And from the valve covers, they get sucked through the positive crankcase ventilation valve. That pressure keeps right going there. Now, as soon as they keep putting pressure on, they push out on that positive crankcase ventilation valve, and then that valve is a one-way valve, only allows the gases to go one way. So the pressure opens the valve, pushes it into the intake manifold. So, in the intake manifold, what you have is a lot of the blow-by gases that were caused by the combustion happening at top dead center, causing all those gases to flow down along the sides of the piston, around the rings, and down inside the pan, your oil pan down at the bottom, your crankcase. So, we go from there. Now, once we have oxygen, hydrogen, oxygen inside the cylinder, what happens now is that mixture now becomes lean. Becomes more lean than what the computer normally would let it be. When that happens, the flash combustion no longer happens at top dead center. It happens a little bit after top dead center. So what that means now is when the flash combustion happens, 100% of that combustion is now pushing down on the piston, which can now turn the crankshaft because it's off of top dead center. So 100% of your combustion is now used to turn the crankshaft. That's in gasoline engines. In diesel engines, it's a little bit different. In diesel engines, the air is brought into the engine either by a turbocharger or by the pistons themselves. Not a lot of action there as far as bringing in air. But what happens in a diesel engine is at the bottom of the intake stroke, the intake valve closes. The piston then rises up, compressing the air inside the cylinder till it gets really, 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 really hot. And at top dead center, the fuel injector squirts fuel oil into the cylinder. Now, there are different systems doing this different ways, but that's basically what happens. So now, after top dead center in a diesel engine, the flash combustion happens. Pow! It explodes everywhere. So there's not a lot of blow-by gases on a diesel engine. But because diesel fuel burns so slowly, what happens is about 30% of the diesel fuel is unburnt by the time the critical angle is reached on the crankshaft. Now, the critical angle, that's that point where the piston begins moving down in the cylinder faster than it would at before and after top dead center. At that point, the crankshaft and the piston connecting rod are in a vertical plane. So the piston normally travels up and down maybe an inch or so from 30 degrees before top dead center to 30 degrees after top dead center. But from 30 degrees after top dead center or 45 degrees after top dead center, now there's a different plane. And in the same amount of time that it took the piston to go from before to after top dead center, it's now going to travel 90 degrees down inside the cylinder here. It's going to come down fast. That point at which the piston reaches the critical angle, that's the point at which the piston now no longer is having the combusting gases push down on it. The critical angle is the point where the piston begins moving down in the cylinder faster than the combusting gases above it are pushing on it. So anything that's not totally burnt in the combustion chamber and the cylinder, as the critical angle is reached, any gases not burnt will be sucked down by the piston and put into the exhaust gases going out. So diesel fuel burns slowly. And no matter what they try and do, they try their absolute best. And believe me, I've talked with a lot of engineers and a lot of new things going on in the diesel world out there. But they just can't get all of the diesel fuel to burn by the critical angle and still keep everything off of top dead center. Just no way. When you add hydrogen and oxygen, to this mixture, this diesel mixture, just right at the intake air goes right at the intake manifold, add hydrogen in there. Hydrogen has the property of accelerating the burn rate of the fuel-air mixture. In other words, it speeds things up. So now you have this slow burning fuel, you add hydrogen to that, and it speeds up the combustion. If you add just the right amount of hydrogen to the fuel-air mixture, right there, then you can get a total combustion of all the fuel air mixture before the critical angle is reached. Now you're using 100% of the fuel to do 100% of the work in turning the crankshaft. A very, very, very fuel efficient system. So that is how hydrogen works in the engines. That's how it works in a gasoline engine. That's how it works in a diesel engine. If you have any other questions about this, please, those of you who are new listeners out there, we definitely love you here. But if you have any further questions, go to our website, www.fuelgeniesystems.com, and there you'll find a 2, 3, 4-page explanation on how it works. And that should really just hit home to you how it all does. I wrote that, put it into plain English so that even my mother could understand it. Okay, so that takes care of a lot of the email that's been coming in here for a while now. And again, I'm going to make that a staple of each show. So for those of you loyal listeners out there, and hey, hearty shout out to all you guys out there, and you know who you are. You're going to hear a redundant explanation constantly on the show about how hydrogen works in the engine. It's not that we take hydrogen, put it into gas, or put it in the oil. We put it into the intake manifold of diesel and gasoline engines, and that's what happens there. Okay? So, now that we have that absolutely positively explained here, and you're all very clear about that, right? Oh, yes, we're all so clever out here. There are a few things that I would like to talk about. Left over from last week's show. I didn't get a chance to talk about it a whole heck of a lot, and I wanted to because it sits so very, very high on my mind. It's something called Controller Area Network computers, okay? It's basically just a system of little tiny computers spread throughout your car. Wherever you want to look inside your car, you're going to find these little nodes all over the place. And these nodes talk to each other. And now that they talk to each other, sometimes they only have to talk to each other without talking to the main processor, which speeds up a lot of processes inside your car, makes it run a lot more efficiently. The sensors react a lot faster than they normally would, and it really just makes things move easier inside your car electronically. However, there's a sinister side to all of this. Isn't there always? If somebody can build something, somebody's going to figure out a way to misuse it. Well, I'm reading here directly off of this controller area network overview from the developer zone of National Instruments. And what they're saying here is that there is a software, a selectable software, that can be added to the controller area network, the CAN computer system in your car, without you even knowing it. It may already be on there. Now, this CAN computer system, this is something that is going to be on all 2012 cars. There's some 2011 cars, the high-end, the Navigators, your Cadillacs and things like that, also on there. It's something that's applied to every car that has an OBD3 port in it. Now, OBD stands for Onboard Diagnostic. Back in 1986, 1986, they had a series of little solenoid coils and stuff inside the carburetor that would inject fuel inside there. It didn't need a brain or anything. It was all mechanical. And so in 1986, they came up with something called the OBD1 system. And the OBD1 system was a fairly primitive fuel injection system. It worked, sure, and you could plug a little computer inside, a little diagnostic computer inside there.
Is the force with you on the OBD1?
That's Bill, our producer. No, the force is not with us on the OBD1, Bill. Listen closely. We're talking about computers here. Okay, so basically what's happening here is it's a fairly sophisticated system, nothing like what we have today, and reports about 7 or 8 different processes that you can pick out on your computer and do that. In 1996, they came out with OBD2, the Onboard Diagnostic System 2. Now there's something like 42 different measurements and sensors and points that you can hook up a diagnostic computer to, and it will let you pinpoint even further what's wrong inside the engine there. Now we come to 2011, 2012. 2012 is the advent of the OBD3 system. Yes, the CAN, Controller Area Network Computer System. It's really sophisticated. First of all, the sensors that the OBD3 system, or the CAN controller area network, uses, are much more sensitive than the older sensors were. So if you're driving a car out there now, or anyone who's ever driven a car, you have seen at one time or another a check engine light pop on. Oh, and you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, something's wrong. My engine's burning up. Nothing serious. Seriously, if you ever see a check engine light pop on, finish what you're doing driving-wise. It just means you might get bad mileage or whatever. But cars today are designed so that if something major happens to a sensors there, it will richen a mixture in the car. You'll get bad fuel mileage, but it will get you to a gas station. When that check engine light comes on, it's basically saying to you, hello, I need attention. Attend to me now. It's not critical, but your next chance that you've got, look after me, okay? Me. That's what the check engine light is saying. So, the newer systems, the OBD3 systems, differ from the OBD2 systems in that the OBD2 systems, all the sensors had a plus or minus 5% variance in them. They could slowly go bad over the miles and over the miles and over the miles. Sometimes you could have a mass airflow sensor, an engine coolant temperature sensor, an exhaust gas temperature sensor, whatever. These things would last 100, 120, 130,000 miles. They would slowly be going bad, and slowly they would climb outside of their 5% error ratio. Once that happened, they would trip the check engine light. So no problem. These days, all you have to do, because of certain laws, certain acts of Congress out there, go into any garage. Any mechanic is authorized to work on your car with an OBD2 system. If you need O2 sensors or mass airflow sensor, whatever it is that's gone wrong with your car right there, they can usually supply it from one of the vendors sitting out here. I'm not going to mention any of the names, but auto parts suppliers. They can go pick that up, have it delivered, and have it out to you. Be on your way in 3-4 hours and $200-$300, Now, with the new OBD3 systems, the sensors have a plus or minus 3% variance. No longer 5%. There's no longer 10% to play with inside. There's now 6% to play. Add to that when one of these sensors goes bad, you have to attend to it fairly quickly. Because what they programmed into the cars is this. When a check engine light comes on, you normally go to a garage and say, hey, check this out. What's going on with it? Okay, they can check it out and tell you this. $200, $300 to fix this, fix that. Fine, you've got that. But now your check engine light pops on. You take it to a garage and they say, well, it's the $350 just to hook it up to the diagnostic computer. And then from there we go on with replacing or fixing whatever's wrong with it. So now you're not looking at a bill of just $200 or $300. Now you're looking at $300 just to get the car in the door and to have it diagnosed to find out what's wrong with it. So if you have to replace a sensor, only a dealer can replace the sensors. These computer systems have no tolerance for backyard mechanics at all. If a backyard mechanic goes in there and starts messing with anything, the computer will shut itself off. What does it cost to have the computer turned back on? Well, first of all, because it's off, you're not going to be able to drive it. So you've got to have a tow truck tow you into a dealership. That's number one. Number two, once you're at the dealership, they have to turn the sleeping computer back on. They can charge you whatever they want to do that. I've heard rumors from, I'm not going to mention the dealer's name. I've heard rumors there that to reprogram a computer is $1,700. Now, and that's what they charge to reprogram the computer. They tell me, though, it's not always necessary to reprogram the computer. Sometimes they can just go in and trip a little switch that's tripped off, and it'll go back and run perfectly. The point I'm trying to make is, you no longer can work on your car. The backyard mechanic no longer can work on his own car. The mechanic shops all around town, different places, things. The only thing they're going to be able to do is change your oil and change your tires and align your car. That's going to be it. They're not going to be able to do anything else. Now, let's say you go into the dealership and you pay the $300. They put it on and say, oh, your O2 sensors are bad. We're going to have to replace 4 of them, and they're $300 a piece, and it's going to be $150 for each sensor labor to replace that. Now you're looking at a bill of way over $1,000. You don't have it. What do? Well, if today's car is an OBD2 system, you just go back home and you drive with your check engine light on. You're using more gas than you normally would with an O2 sensor. It tells the computer how much gas to put in. So you're using more gas than you normally would, but you don't have the $1,300 or the $1,400 to get your car fixed. You can just limp along until you do have the money or whatever. However, with the new OBD3 systems, if you go in and you find out that you can't pay whatever that is, you have to pay the $350 diagnostic fee. You can't pay that, whatever it is to fix it, you go home. You only have 60 times turning the car on and turning it off. After 60 times, 60 cycles of your on-off switch, the computer cuts itself off. Now, no matter where you are, nothing is going to start that car again. You're going to have it towed to the shop to have it fixed, and you're going to have to pay the price. If you don't pay the price, here's where the system begins to really mire down in Big Brother. If you don't have your car fixed and the computer turns itself off, the computer will notify the authorities that your car has been disabled. Okay? How's it going to notify the authorities? Well, you remember earlier in this conversation here, I talked about there's some selective software upgrades that you can put on cars. Well, here's how the system works. First, the government builds a structure, and it looks very innocuous, it looks very safe, and all designed for us and our pleasure and our safety. But later on, when they implement the laws and everything along with that, now it becomes a controller of us. So by putting in a structure, by putting in the controller area network on all of the cars, they also can put in a transmitter that will talk to a satellite way up above us we don't even see, or through the telephone towers that are they're everywhere out here. So what can happen then? Well, what can happen then is the government monitors your vehicle. They have the capability to monitor your vehicle through the DMV, the MVA, whatever it is. They have the capability to monitor it. And as the years progress, they will become even better and better and better and better at it. So now, after 60 cycles of your on-off key, if you don't fix your car and 2 weeks go by, you get a letter in the mail.
Dear Mr. So-and-so, we've come to realize that your car is no longer being used. In fact, your computer tells us that it's been disabled. You have 30 days to come and return the license tags to this bureau and the registration, or to have your car repaired. Thank you very much.
Now, that sounds kind of Big Brotherish, futuristic, but let me tell you, it's not so far-fetched. So, in 30 days goes by, these plans are already in writing. I'm not making anything up in my head. These are in writing. Now, whether they get implemented or not, I can't tell you, but they're in writing already. So, now, after 30 days, you haven't done anything, the police come out. What do? They take away your plates and they grab your registration. That's it. So for want of having to get $1,000, $1,300, $1,500 repair done on your car from something, you now no longer have a car, which you're still paying on, by the way. And I don't think that the finance company is going to really care that your car's been disabled. They're going to want their money no matter what happens. This system leads to such possibility for abuse, it is not even funny. Just not funny. I will never purchase a car. Of course, I'm kind of old. I'm not one of these young whippersnappers that's sitting out here. So I actually have the option. But you out there, you can make a difference if you want to. All you have to do is go into a new car showroom, say, I want to buy a new car. Ask them if it has the CAN computer system in it. And then if the salesman says, well, yes, it does, you say, tell me how that works. If he can't explain it to you, say, I've heard some bad things about it, that they can monitor this stuff just like the OnStar does, but it's about the government. If he doesn't give you an honest answer about any of that, just say, I'm not buying a car with that kind of a system in it. It only will take probably 15 or 20 people per dealership to feed that information back into the industry, to that manufacturer, whoever it is. Hey, people are learning about the CAN systems out here. They don't want Big Brother in their car, and they're not buying the new cars. You guys can put them out all you want to. Nobody's buying them. Nobody wants their privacy invaded, and nobody wants to be told what to do by the government. 20 people in each one of the dealerships out here. That word will get back fast to the manufacturers. Now the manufacturers and the government are going to have to work out something somehow, some way, because they want to sell cars. The manufacturers can't sell cars because the government says you've got to have the CAN 3 system on there, or the CAN computer system, OBD3 port on it. Then the manufacturer is going to say, I can't sell any cars. I've got to go out of business. That's one scenario that could happen. Anyway, if you go in, talk to your salesman, talk to whoever it is, and say, I am averse to buying a car that has the CAN computer system in it, the OBD3 port in it. Can you disable it somehow, some way, so that it doesn't work? And if they say no, then say, okay, I'm looking at a used car, 2011, not a high-end, or 2010, any high-end. That will make you safe. Now, you can drive in peace 10, 15 years, who knows how long you take care of your car. Drive in peace, that nobody's looking over your shoulder, nobody's watching. Another thing that can happen to you when the government's watching you on a computer, you could be tooling down the interstate, not a cop in sight anywhere. Yeah, straight, stretch open road. Let's crank the baby up as soon as you can go, go, go. Yeah, right. Not anymore. Somebody with a computer, not even close to you. Somebody with a computer sitting in Goa, India, over there, probably could sit there and say, wow, look, that guy's going real fast. Click on you, find out all your information and everything. Send that information directly to the police. Police sit there and they issue you a ticket, a citation to it. Boom, there you go. That's it. So now, I've gotten all that off my chest. It's probably going to come up again if you listen to the show regularly. But I just want to let everybody out there know, we can make a difference. If you go to your dealership and you say, I want a new car, but I don't want one with the controller area network computer, or I need to have you disable the transmitter on that. One of the two. If they can't do that, say, show me what you've got in a nice 2011 car, okay? You'll be safe, you'll have peace of mind, and it's going to be a lot cheaper for you. All right. Second thing that's going on out here, constantly comes here, but thank heavens you have me to research and do things with for you. I constantly am on the internet watching what's happening out here all around. And today I actually got email. Somebody trying to sell me a hydrogen generator. I'm not going to mention their name. But anyway, I'm looking at it. You can see it right here for those of you who are watching on the cameras up here. Yeah. I started to read about what this was because this was a new product, hadn't heard about it. And I scroll down and look at the pictures, and all of a sudden it strikes me that this system will not work. Why will it not work? Well, any of you out there who are thinking about getting a hydrogen injection system in your car, any of you who are thinking about that, go to our website first, or write me or call me, and if you've got a name or something, I can research it. I'd be glad to research it out and tell you if it is a good kit or if it is not a good kit. Here's what you need to look for. You need to look for a system that has a reservoir. No matter what the reservoir is, it must be very, very stable. It has to, and in fact, if you go to order this stuff, say, your reservoir, can that handle 18 inches of mercury without collapsing? A vacuum, can it handle 18 inches of mercury without collapsing? And if they can't tell you that, or if they tell you that it won't, don't buy that system. Same thing if you've got a diesel engine or a diesel truck. You ask those people, email them, call them, whatever you have to do. Your reservoir, can it withstand 35 psi, 35 pounds per square inch of boost pressure without exploding? Now, if these things, if they tell you no in either case, do not buy them. It means that they are injecting hydrogen, either in a diesel case, before the turbocharger, or in a gasoline case, gasoline engine case, just right after the air filter, before all the air goes directly into the intake manifold there. In both these cases, it has been our experience, and we have a lot of experience at Fuel Genie Systems, let me tell you that. It has been our experience that these two ways of injecting hydrogen into a vehicle are virtually ineffective. Okay? Now, you can overcome the ineffectiveness by producing a lot more hydrogen than you normally would need. You only need about 110 cc's of hydrogen per liter per minute going into any engine to supplement the combustion inside there. If you put more in, the combustion will burn faster. You'll lose power. A lot of people who buy these kits and put them in themselves, they work great for about 10, 15, 30 miles, and then after that, they're getting worse mileage than they got before. That's because their computer system on their car doesn't really recognize what's going on, so it just kind of hunkers around and behaves like it normally would. But after 30 miles, it resets itself, and then it sees, wow, things are way out of parameter, and it begins richening the mixture up to compensate for all the extra oxygen and hydrogen inside the system, for all the leanness that's in there. So when your computer begins to correct for that, it throws extra gas back inside there, and now your mileage goes down. Then the people who paid $500, $600, $700, $800 sometimes just for a kit to buy over the internet to inject hydrogen in their cars, they throw up their hands and say, it's a hoax, it doesn't work, it's trash, I'm taking it out of the car. I hear so many people tell me that, so many people. So anyway, if you inject the hydrogen after the air filter, it's not going to work very well. If you inject hydrogen into a diesel before the turbocharger, it's not going to work very well either, because the hydrogen and the oxygen that gets put into the engine are monatomic hydrogen and monatomic oxygen. If you add energy to that mixture, it turns into a water molecule. Now imagine how much energy is transferred to the hydrogen-oxygen mixture, something called HHO. Once it goes through turbocharger blades that are turning 20 and 30,000 revolutions per minute. How much energy is imparted to that? If you put HHO, or the hydrogen, into a diesel system before the turbocharger, you're going to be doing nothing but putting water vapor into your engine. It's going to turn that hydrogen, the monatomic hydrogen, monatomic oxygen, into water molecules, and that water molecules are going to go through the intercooler, which cools them down and condenses it even more, and then that's what's going to go into your engine. Sometimes you might see a 5, 6, 7% increase in miles per gallon, but that's it. It's a very ineffective way to do it. Now, Fuel Genie Systems, all of the parts of our systems for diesel and cars, the same, all pressure tested to 75 psi and to 22 inches of mercury in a vacuum. Okay? So our cars, our systems will work on any car that's out there. Our systems will work on any diesel system that's out there. We inject the hydrogen after the turbocharger, about 6 inches away from the intake manifold on diesel engines. And in cars, like I said before, we put it into the PCV valve where it goes right into the engine there. So if you're cruising the internet and you happen to see these things, oh, and they look fantastic. I'm looking at something here called the ice block, and it's got 15, 20, 24 plates inside the generator, and it looks really, really cool. But I'm telling you, this is not going to work very well on the car. And something with 15 or 16 plates in it, or 12 or 9 plates even, is going to produce so much more hydrogen than the car ever could possibly need. You're just going to be wasting energy on your car because it's going to take a lot of amperage coming out of your alternator there to produce that much hydrogen. So, again, if you're out there on the internet and you're looking around and you're thinking about getting some way to inject hydrogen into your vehicle, whatever it might be, if you're not sure about it, ask me. If the reservoirs are not solid, stable structures, not plastic, it could be acrylic and be solid and be very, very sturdy. But this white plastic, this sort of translucent white plastic thing with flexible sides and things on it like that, stay away from those things. You can buy them in stores and things out here. If it's off the shelf, don't get it. Just don't get it. Save yourself some time and money. At Fuel Genie Systems, we do things differently. Okay. Now, moving along to some emails that we got inside here. These are a little bit more specific than what we normally had. Our first email comes up from a guy named Sam Weston in Erie, Pennsylvania. And he says, I looked at your website, but there are no prices on any of your products. Can you send me a price list? Well, the answer, Sam, is no. We do not sell Fuel Genie components to the public. And the reason for that is, there's so many different ways to incorrectly install these systems in vehicles that if you don't install it correctly, it's not going to work right. You'll sit there, you'll cuss the product, then you'll cuss us and the company, me on the radio and the station. Who knows? You maybe go up to God if you want to. But anyway, we do not sell to the general public. What we do is we sell to our distributors and to our authorized service centers. In the Tampa Bay area now, we have now grown to 7 authorized service centers out there. That means we have 7 places where you can take your car. The ASE certified mechanics, always ASE certified mechanics with our installation centers. The ASE certified mechanics have gone through our classes. They know how to install Fuel Genie system. They know what to look for. They make it professional looking, and it will be durable and really last and give you good mileage. You can rely on that. So, no, I'm sorry, Sam, we don't sell our parts out here. However, I can give you these parameters on what things will cost. Okay, if you have a gasoline vehicle, all right, 4-cylinder gasoline vehicle will be between $650 and $700 to install. If you have a 6-cylinder gasoline vehicle, it's between $750 and $800. If you have an 8-cylinder vehicle, it's between $800 and $850 to install. Now, if you have a gasoline truck or a pickup, it's between $800 and $900 to install that. If you have a van, it's between $900 and $1,100 to install an advance. And it has nothing to do with the cost of the system anymore. It has to do with the labor involved in putting these things in vans. Everything's super, super tight in vans. You have to pull bumpers off and things, components of the cars off, and that's where the price starts to really rev up there in vans. In RVs, more of the same. It's between $1,100 and $1,400 in an RV. However, a trip out west and back here from the East Coast in an RV, and you'll pay for your system. It's that simple. Now, for diesel vehicles, if you have a little 4-cylinder like a VW Rabbit or something like that, you're looking at right at about $630. Pickup trucks, diesel pickup trucks with 6.5 liter, 6.2, 6.7, somewhere around through there. Engines that size around $850. If you have a 10-liter engine and higher, that's the big semi-tractor trailers out there with your international engines in them, Caterpillar engines, Cat 12s, Cat 14s. Those are pretty close to all the same price. That's about $2,200. Sounds like a lot. However, any trucker knows $2,200. If I'm saving minimum 20% on my fuel, I'm going to be saving about $100 a day. If I'm driving 800 to 1,000 miles a day, I'm going to save $100 a day. So 22 days of driving on the road, I've got my return on the investment. After that, I'm just putting about $2,000 a month in my pocket. That's if gas is around $4.20, $4.30 a gallon. Now, if gas goes up to $5 a gallon, it's going to be even more of a savings, okay? So, I'm sorry, I misspoke there. 20% of 5 is that $1. So if gas hits $5 a gallon, now you're going to get that 20 cents at $1 per gallon. That 20%, if gas $5 a gallon, you're saving 20% on it. It's only going to cost you $4 a gallon. Or you're going to go the distance that 5 gallons of gas would have taken you for $4, for 4 gallons, okay? So you're going to save 20% of your bill. 20% of this easy inside of a month is going to be about $2,000. So all you independent truckers out there, and we have quite a few devices on these things out there. In fact, we're talking with a couple of companies here in the Tampa Bay area about outfitting their fleets with these things. It's always a question of money and time. But as it gains in popularity, things are going to happen. Our next email comes from Todd Chamon. I'm thinking that's a French name. Chamon. Todd, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. You're in Baltimore. I'm sure you're listening in, so forgive me on that. You write, I heard about your show from a friend, and I have to say, after listening for the past 2 weeks, I'm impressed. You have a talent for explaining complex things in a simplified way. As an engineer, I understand the science behind your systems. But I ask, if this is such a good thing, why isn't it being introduced by the automotive industry? Fantastic question there, Todd. My, oh my, oh my. So many different answers for that question, and it's a myriad. It is not any one particular thing. The first thing out is, number one, this system and this technology cannot be patented. You know, you can patent a design on this particular system, but it's hydrolysis, it's electrolysis. This stuff has been around for 200 some odd years. You cannot patent hydrolysis or electrolysis. You can't do it. You can make a certain container that has a certain shape, and you can patent that shape. Yeah, you can do that if you want to, but then somebody else comes along, makes a little different shape, and they get a patent on that, and they do exactly the same thing you do, only they charge less for it. So now you've paid the money for the patent, and you paid the money for the design and everything else. Somebody's come along and just undercut you right through there. So industry knows this. They know they cannot patent anything. They know there's no residual income coming in on this. And in business, if those business people out here listening realize what residual income is. You know, residual income would be like if we had a special concoction of electrolyte that we used for our reservoir systems to make this hydrogen process, separation of water and hydrogen work a lot faster. If we had a specialized ingredient inside there that you could only get from us and you had to buy from us, then you, the public, would have to constantly buy stuff from us to save gas. That is a residual effect right there. And the automotive industry, if they can't get that, they're really not interested in it. The big guys, same thing out there. Automotive industry, there's a great, sure, they make a lot of money on the cars that they sell out there. That's true. But they make a lot more money on the parts that they sell out there. So for the automotive industry, the residual part of that is the parts that they constantly supply to everybody out there. So I could go on and on and on and on. There's a lot more things that are going on with why people aren't getting into this. The big companies aren't getting into this. And a lot of it has to do with people like us, you know, small companies out here. It's a cottage industry basically right now. So smaller companies with no overhead can go make a great design, put these things into vehicles at about half the price that industry can do this. That's another reason for all of this out here. Another reason is the oil industry. Not many people realize that the oil industry gives the automotive industry X amount of dollars. I've heard figures, so I'm not going to say for sure. X amount of dollars per car that rolls off the line if the idle speed is set at 950 RPM or greater. Well, guess what? You don't need 950 RPM at idle. No, you don't. Did I say that over the air? Oh, I'm sorry. I was sort of whispering to myself here. You don't need 950 RPM. You just don't. The automotive industry says, well, you know, if you got grandma in the car and she's turned the steering wheel all the way to the left and the air conditioning's on, she's got her foot on the brake, she's got the radio blasting real loud out there, and the fan is on high from the AC system, the engine's not turning hard enough, it's not turning strong enough, it's not strong enough to not lurch when she puts on the gas from a stoplight. Not true. I've had so many mechanics tell me. In fact, I've had mechanics tell me you can disconnect this wire and this wire and this wire, and your check engine light won't come on, and your idle will go way, way down. That's another way to save fuel. But again, you're going to have to talk to your own mechanic, and a lot of that has to do with the power steering boost on it. So you might want to ask your mechanic out there, and there's a wire that connects to my power steering, or something makes the idle go up a little bit higher than normal. Can you disconnect that? They can probably do that. And that's a good tip for you right there. So anyway, getting back to this, where were we? We were sitting here. I was talking about why these things are not picked up in the industry out here. The reason not picked up in the industry, is because of so many different tiny little aspects to the industry itself. Yeah, so you've got cottage industry people like us who can do it a lot cheaper than anybody else out there. And there's a lot of things. There's the oil industry that's involved with this. Remember, that's who's paying the Detroit per car to keep that idle up there unnecessarily high. You've got a lot of things that are going on out there that are in direct conflict with actually really saving money on your fuel. So I'm going to leave it at that. If you want, you can go around the internet. You can look at what creates, what causes the fluctuation in fuel prices. You can ask breakdown of Google up. Don't Google anything anymore. They're watching you. I use Yahoo. That's just an aside. Now Google's probably going to strike me dead here in the studio. But anyway, you can Yahoo up anything you want to on the internet. Look for things. What is involved in the price of a car? Google or Yahoo that up. What creates the price of a car? What goes this part of the car? How much is the marketing cost of a car? How much is the labor? How much is the pension plan per each car? You can find all that stuff out on the internet. You can figure out about how industry is involved. Different industries are involved in your car. So for them to get involved with something like this, which is sort of like an aftermarket industry right now, they're just not interested. So that's how industry is not getting involved in this. Not only that, but industry is trying to move toward a fuel cell, a car that works just on water. Now they have cars that run just on hydrogen right now, but now the technology is coming on board more and more with fuel cells. Fuel cells are becoming much more efficient than they used to be. And they're working on ways now to not have to store hydrogen on the car in the fuel cell, so that when the car is going down the road, if there is an accident out there, it won't blow up half a city block from the hydrogen that's stored on the vehicle. Those fuel cells and the hydrogen cars, they're out there, they're on the roads, they're being tested right now. There's a lot of cost involved with all of that stuff, and the research and development is going to be ongoing. However, they're all coming up against one roadblock in the whole thing, and that is storing hydrogen on the vehicles. With Fuel Genie systems, there's never any hydrogen stored anywhere. It's called hydrogen on demand. So, as soon as the engine starts, the demand for hydrogen is created, the circuits close, you make hydrogen. The engine shuts off, the circuits open up, no more hydrogen is being made out there. It's safe, it's clean, it's effective, and let me tell you, friends, it works. Okay. One more thing here before we wrap things up. Just wanted to let you know that Fuel Genie Systems has a lot of job opportunities opening up out here. We have distributors that are coming online, joining our network. We also have authorized service centers where we have ASE certified mechanics installing Fuel Genie systems on the cars. Now, I know you may know, so those of you listening may know a mechanic out there who's not making any money. If he's working or if he's not working at all, he's having a really, really tough time. Well, it doesn't take much. You go right through one of our our classes here. It's a 2-day training course. You get science along with the practical hands-on experience of learning how to install these systems. You actually get a hands-on installation of a gasoline car installation and a diesel installation as well. So when you're finished with the course, your qualified to put these systems on the largest truck that's out there and the smallest little car or engine, gasoline engine that's out there. You have everything to do. If you want to become a distributor, this industry, like I say, is growing. Gasoline is going up. There's nothing anybody can do to stop it. Yeah, it is going up. So, best to prepare. And the best way to prepare is to get a fuel-saving device on your car there. It's not just a hydrogen injection. If you want to go out and spend just $130, $140, you can go online to a company called Volo Performance, VOLO Performance.com. I'm not advertising for them, but they have a good product. And you can get a performance chip from them. I think it's about $139. This will increase your mileage about 3 to 5%. But again, it's not very expensive. It's really quick and easy to put on, and it will increase your mileage. Not a lot, but it will increase your mileage. There's a lot of things you can do out there. So, but with a Fuel Genie system, you can come, you can learn about how the whole thing works. You learn the science about it in our classes. We teach you hands-on what to do, what to look for, all the problems that other people come up against and have no one to tell them about. You can go out there, go to any garage you want to, or start your own system, open up your own little garage. It doesn't have to be out on a major street or anything like that. Just put yourself together. Put one of these in every 2, 3, 4 days, and you can make yourself a really nice, fine living from this. Distributors, lots of opportunities opening up here for distributors. So, if you would like to look for a job or contact us about one of our opportunities in the classroom or to become a distributor, you can go to our website and click on the email system. You can email us there. You can also call us on an 800 number, an 866 number. That number, if you want to call about the job line, is 866-209-6682. That's 866-209-6682. Okay? So, now I'd like to take a few minutes here and shout outs to some of our friends out there, some people who make everything happen for us here. Number one, Regal Cars. Telephone number, if you've got a pen and pencil handy, 727-474-3755. Regal Cars. Regal Cars and Ramsey Automotive, 727-492-0606. They are the two automobile dealerships we have now on board in the Fuel Genie network system. If they have a car on their lot that has a system in it, you can get it right from them. Or if you buy a car from them, they will pay the labor to have a Fuel Genie system installed on your car. They believe in it that much, and they will take care of you there. Next one is East Bay Auto Service, 727-581-5483. Chuba's over there, also a very, very well-qualified person to do this. Chuba likes to specialize in diesel applications. Then you have Fuel for Less at 727-386-9765. Fuel for Less down in Largo. Phil Jenka, give him a call on the telephone, 386-9765. Twisted Metal Off-Road over in Tampa, just south of Ybor City, 813-622-6570. They specialize in Hummer and diesel installations. I've seen a lot of their, if you have one of these tricked out trucks, or a Hummer or something like that, they make the installation so professional and so great looking. You'll have just a fantastic time enjoying the savings of fuel that you get right there. Okay, that's about it for everybody right now. And let's see, I think I hear our music coming under here from what we're doing on things. Yeah, that's our Bill Apgar in there, producer. He's making things happen. Oh, I think he's flipped the wrong switch. Well, anyway, that's how things go there. Anyway, thanks once again to everybody that's out here. We certainly appreciate.
My computer froze up.
Oh, the computer froze there. Wow,
I'm sorry about that.
That always makes a fun show. Anyway.
You have 20 seconds.
20 seconds. Well, in this next 20 seconds here, friends, let me say this. Till next week, I hope you'll be out there. Drive safe, drive clean, drive farther with diesel and gasoline. Use a Fuel Genie system in your car today. So long till next week, everybody. So long.